This time I have a Sony EVC3 8mm VCR that was shipped in from a customer, and the complaint on this is it doesn't play. So we're going to take this one apart, see what's wrong with it, see if we can get this one going and save another one from the recycle bin, as they say. This is a straight 8mm VCR, no high 8 playback, just standard 8. Let's check it out. Got another package in the mail with something to service. Don't know what it is yet, haven't opened the box, but as soon as I start to open it, I realize somebody packed it in shipping peanuts. Looks like a mini VCR is what it looks like. Ah, man, I hate it when people ship stuff in peanuts, because for one, it gets all over the place, but two, they get inside the equipment and can cause damage, especially if I don't catch it and I try to run it and something gets jammed. I hate these damn packing peanuts. I should ban them. I'll end up tracking these in the house. I'll get a cat that ingests one, and then I could end up with another expensive vet bill. Besides the fact that, yeah, look inside here, you see? They get inside the machines. If you're gonna put anything in this crap, you gotta wrap the machine up in plastic. Now, this may have been taken to could have been taken to a facility that packs and ships stuff, but this is ridiculous. You gotta put everything in these stupid packing peanuts. At least wrap the thing up in a bag or something to keep them at bay. I don't know how many times I have to go over this, and yet I still get crap sent in packing peanuts. This is an EVC3, I think that's what this one is. Yeah, EVC3. Same as what I've got. I guess this one's got a problem. Well, we know it's got packing peanuts in it, so we gotta open it up and remove them first, and then I'll see what's going on with this one. And there's more than that. There's another one that I can see. I can see more styrofoam. Any other pieces in here? Okay, that might have. Hopefully it's just those two. Alright, let's power this one up and see what this one is doing, if anything. Okay, we'll plug it in. And the drum spins up, and the cassette compartment moves. That's a good sign. It does turn on. So let me grab a tape, and we'll see whether this attempts to do anything. Throw some lights on to better illuminate the bench. Okay, the tape is completing its loading cycle, and the tape is moving. And have no picture, but I just want to make sure mechanically it's not eating the tape or anything. And we'll try a different tape that I know that there's this might have digital 8 recordings on it, right, because I use this as my test tape. Alright, so now that I know that it's not eating, let's try a tape that's got an 8mm recording on it. And see whether I get anything on the monitor. And I have a very, very distorted picture. So this is what I'm getting. That looks like an alignment problem. We'll check and see if the tape guides are loose on this one. So no effort at all is needed to turn them. right? They just spin. So the locking screws have come undone, and they allow the guide pins to turn. So this could just be an alignment problem. Let's just see first of all whether I can get the picture somewhat watchable. Just try a different screwdriver one that I can get in there to just tweak with. We'll see if I can get the picture somewhat reasonable by just playing with the guides by hand here and see whether the picture improves and I can get anything. And then I'll put the scope on it at that point and tweak it in if we can get anything. But first we have to see how far off this is. Okay, that guide's up all the way. If you're wondering why I'm using a cleaning tape on here as opposed to sticking my finger in there, get the fingernail in, well, it's because I can't get my finger in there. There's not enough room at the back. I don't necessarily want to do it through the tape because I don't want to damage my tape. So let's let this cleaning tape play for about 10 seconds. And then eject it. And then we'll try the recorded tape again and see whether I get any different results. I'm seeing a portion of a picture. Just see whether I can tweak this at all. I'll show you guys what the screen's looking like right now, even though you couldn't see me adjusting the guides because the light was in the way. I was just turning the guides and looking at the picture, and I'll show you what progress we're making on the screen. So this is the state that I'm at now, and to say I can do this without hooking up a scope and get it somewhat watchable. I think the probably the capacitors in the preamp probably need to be done on this one. But as you can see, I'm getting very close to having a proper picture, and that's without using a scope or anything. That's just eyeballing it. And it would be easier if I used an analog monitor than a digital monitor for sure. You'll also notice that it is playing at the LP speed instead of SP, so it's having a speed detection problem. Could very well be some of the caps in the preamp, and it's just not, I think they are surface mounted on this if I'm not mistaken, but if they're not processing the signal correctly, it's not reading the tape speed. Although it still looks like, I've got the analog monitor on now, it still kind of looks like maybe one of the heads is a little bit dirty. We'll just try the cleaning tape again for 10 seconds more. See if that'll help. I've got about a half of a picture now, but it's playing at the wrong speed. Alignment is close, but again, without it playing at the correct speed, it's going to never look right. The lock screws that hold the guides in place are right here on the back of each of these guides, so we're just going to tighten these up just a little bit just so that the guides aren't quite as loose, because these are really loose, these ones, so we just turn them in a bit. That way at least the guides themselves won't walk down on their own. They're hard to get to because of the angle that they are, because of with everything else in the chassis in the way. just to tighten them up a little bit. Okay, now the guides are no longer spinning freely. Before you could just turn them with your finger. Now I have to put a screwdriver on it, and you know, like even that, it doesn't move, right? I actually have to turn it. So that's much better than it was. So they won't budge now when they're set, once I get the alignment true on them. But first things first, we need to get the unit playing at the correct speed. Before I go any further on this one, I'm going to remove the preamp, the head preamp, and we're going to go through and change the caps on that, because that is got surface mounted parts. Most of the caps in this one are not surface mounted. Most of them are conventional through hole. Most of them are conventional through hole on this, but the preamp itself does have those surface mounted caps, which, as we know, cause all the headaches that they do. It's been a while since I've opened up one of these units. I've got one that was given to me by an old friend that passed away. It's in his estate. Like as if I need one of these machines, but I guess they're nice to have. But it's standard 8mm, right? So I prefer high 8 equipment over regular 8 equipment, just because it's just a little more versatile. Should be able to pop this thing out if I'm not mistaken. It should lift out. Just undo the edge connector here, and it should undo. This is where the head plugs in. It's going to pop out the little catches, and this will lift out. We'll redo the capacitors in here, as they need to be done, and that will hopefully get the speed problem resolved on this, and then I can get it to play properly. Not too concerned if it records or not, because I don't know that too many people would be recording anything on 8mm tape. It's more of a machine for playing back existing recordings. That's what people want these for, is playing back their tapes they made with cameras and so forth. This should be a plug in here somewhere that I have to undo. Plugs, and you'll see what I'm talking about on this. It's got leaking capacitors. You can see that they're leaking. They're spilling their guts all over the board. So let's just undo these 2 plugs. Actually 3 plugs. Not a lot of room in here. Okay, so this is where our problem is likely to be. In fact, I can pretty much guarantee you that this is where our problem is. You can see the leakage that's occurred here, and the board may have trace damage too, but first things first, we got to change out these caps for sure. And once we get those changed out, we'll try it again, and I would expect that I'm going to get a lot better results than I've currently got, which is not very good. We'll cut the old caps out. That's a 47. We'll just start by changing out these caps carefully. Don't want to damage the circuit board any more than it may already be damaged. That was a 47, and I've got a 47 here, a little bit bigger, but it'll go in there. There's lots of room inside this unit to mount them. So I'm going to start changing caps, and the soldering iron is warmed up. Oh, got to clean the tip. It's been a while since I've cleaned the tip on this one. Actually been a while since I've used it. There we go. Good as new. Good as new. A fresh tin. Alright, so we're going to remove the damaged or the dead trace or dead pin. Sometimes it helps just to throw some fresh solder down there when you do that. Help clean up the board a bit. And get the old trace out, or get the old pin out without damaging the trace. That's the whole point. You don't want to damage those traces, and say they've all had electrolytic leak onto them, which is bad because it's corrosive. So that one's clean. We'll get our 47, prep it, and I'm just going to lay it over on its side. Probably lay it in this way, like that, just so that it's got some room. Because this other way, well, I guess I could put it in this way. It's up against the can, but we're okay. Yeah, that'll probably sit in there like that, okay. We'll move on to the next one, which is a 1 microfarad. Clip that one out. This one came right off the board. Did not damage the trace, thank God. Sometimes the trace gets damaged, but this one here seems to be okay. We get a 1 microfarad in there. Obviously, I'm not going to be filming this entire process. I'll shut the camera off while I do this because it's pretty monotonous, and we're going through the same procedure. And once you see me change one cap, you've seen me change them all, right? Needless to say, I'm going to change all these capacitors here, and I'll put the camera on from time to time as I progress through here. Some of these ones down in the corner here are going to be fun to get into. I got the part out. I just have to get the remainder of the base out without breaking anything, so I'm just going to hold it down with a screwdriver or something so I can pop the top of the cap off that I've cut. And then try to break this base like that. How I get the pins out when they're corroded like this, heat doesn't want to transfer that well onto through the corrosion, so I just heat the pin up itself, and when I heat up the remainder of the stub, it'll heat up the solder below and it'll just come right off. Just like that. So it's pretty easy to get these out of here. Sometimes you got to put a little extra solder down here. But they will come out just like that. This one was a 10, I think. This one was a 10. Where's my 10? Is that a 10? Oh, that was a 1. The 10 was over here. This is a 1, and the rest of them are all 22s. So I'm changing the 47s to the 10 and the 1 first, and then the rest of them are all 22 microfarad.
I've been asked a few times why I don't just grab the tops and twist them like a certain other person does on YouTube. and I won't say his name, but
Not a lot of room in this corner here.
he grabs them with a pair of pliers and twists them. The reason I don't do it is because I've damaged boards. It's great if they're ready to go, but if the solder is still holding down and the trace has been eaten away by electrolytic, doing that will usually result in a damaged board, and I want to avoid that at all costs. So I cut them off and carefully remove the stubs.
Should be able to lay this thing down one way or the other. Get the other one next to it as well.
A word of the wise, wear eye protection when you're doing this, because those pieces fly off at about 60 miles an hour.
Oh, that smell. That's wonderful. Now that was fun getting those two in that space, but they are connected. The others won't be as bad because there's a little bit more room around these ones to work. But yeah, these ones were pretty tight. But I got them in. Same with this one and this one and this one over here. They're installed, so they should work. And I can still close the cover. That's the important thing, is that we can close the shield. Okay, I'm down to the last one. And then we'll reinstall and test. And this is likely all that's wrong with it, is these caps that went bad, leaked, dried out. So not passing the pilot signal properly that is used to determine the correct speed, and it's detecting LP speed instead of SP. So there are all the caps have been replaced.
And by the way, I'm 100% confident at this point that this unit is going to be functional after just changing out the caps and doing an alignment.
So, whoops, put that out of the way. Okay, I think it goes in this way. That goes on like that. And then we drop the unit in the back and plug in the head amp, or the head itself, to the amplifier. And now I can connect up the ground screw, whatever I did with that. And we'll be able to test this thing pretty quick to see whether I've made any improvement. Of course, my screwdriver has lost its magnetic charge again. Don't you just hate it when your magnetic screwdriver becomes demagnetized? It's usually when you drop something that you really didn't want to drop. Okay, I can test it at this point. See whether I get any different results this time around. Playing at the right speed now, but it is not playing properly yet. So there's where we stand right now on the analog monitor, which is a heck of a lot easier than trying to work with a digital screen. I'm just going to tweak the two guides a little bit more and see if I can get that picture perfect. And then we'll put it on the scope. Oh, look at that. Beautiful! Almost perfect. We'll hook the scope up to this now and see how close I got it without using a scope. So let me just turn on my silly scope here. We'll hook it up and see how close I got it. I'm pretty much perfect. So I came from a machine that would not play at all, and now I've got a machine that's playing. I'm seeing some dropouts here, but again, it's an old machine. It's old tape too, but I haven't put it on scope yet, so we'll tweak this up and see if I can get it any better than this. Oh boys, I would say that's pretty damn close. That's how I got it on the eyeball. My entry guide is ever so slightly off, so we'll just tweak it slightly here and bring it right back. Okay, I think that's as good as we're gonna get this. That looks amazing. I've got my, whoops, my probe just slipped there. I'll show you where I've got the scope triggered from, and I only got one probe that's actually any good. I gotta get some new probes because that bloody SL750 guillotined one of my probes. So this is what I've got. I've got my trigger here. Trigger to pin number 2, RF to pin number 3. It's looking good. I'm happy. Let's throw this one together. There we go. That's one of the things about as good as it's going to get. This tape's full of dropouts. I'll try rewinding it a bit. But this tape's well worn. It's like 30 odd years old and it's been played a gazillion times. That's not looking too bad there. Again, there's some dropouts, but that's the tape itself. Every machine I play this on, it's got lots of dropouts because the tape itself has been played so many times. One other thing I got to do on this is secure the guides because the pins that lock the guides to the mechanism have come loose. We've seen this on other decks. These little pins here. This one's probably already worked its way loose. Let's see if it'll drop. I'm referring to these little pins right down here that hold the guideposts to the mechanism. You see, I can push that down. That's come loose. So we got to put some glue on that one and on the other one over here, and it's also come loose. So we'll get the good old super glue out. We'll drop right down there. That'll hold that in place. Probably more than I needed. Just the drop was kind of big on the screwdriver there. Let me get the other one on the other side over here. Put that right into there. So that will prevent those guides from coming detached. That was another problem that happened on these type of decks, was that the linkage would come detached from the guide, and then you'd end up with a guide that was stuck and the linkage below disconnected. This machine now is basically ready to get sent back. So you got one of these EVC3s. Do recap the head amp. This is the one that needs it. The rest of it doesn't have those nasty surface mounted electrolytic craps on them. They're conventional through hole, and it's always those surface mounted ones that give us the trouble. There we go. And it's playing. It's looking pretty good. As you can see, this portion of the tape doesn't have all the dropouts that the previous portion did. Dropouts is just a tape problem, not so much a machine problem. But the tape's got lots. And they come and go. That's it for this one. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.